Welcome to the Doorway to Self podcast, a metaphysical container for all things mental health, all things human, and all things psychic. Because if you're human, you're psychic. Through the power of story, the gift of psychoeducation, and shared research of the human experience, we will delve into all things metaphysics to help bring to light the truth of your being. If you're on the journey home to your golden self, this is the podcast for you. Here we go. This is the Mental Health Revolution with Rachel Leah Gerson of Doorway to Self. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Doorway to Self podcast. I am your host, Rachel Leah Gerson, and it is so wonderful to be back this week. Hopefully, I am speaking into your ears right now. I know that there have been a lot of technological difficulties on iTunes and some of the other platforms, so I deeply apologize for that. I want to thank you so much for your consistent support anyways. A few of you have been messaging me, asking me where else you can listen. I do want to let you know that each episode is uploaded to YouTube as well. So if you search Doorway to Self on YouTube, you will find it on the Doorway to Self YouTube channel as well. So it is there for your convenience. I do, again, just want to say thank you so much for sticking this out with me. I've been working very closely with Podbean, my podcast host, to get all of these things straightened out. We've been emailing back and forth almost daily for the last week and a half. So anyways, or 2 weeks now. Holy cow. All right. Anyways, thank you for being here. As I said, I hope this is reaching your ears. Something that people have been reaching out to me about recently has been, how did I start Doorway to Self? How did Doorway to Self come about? And so, I had to go inside and kind of check with myself on, is this really the episode that should be launching today amidst everything else that's going on in the world? And when I checked in, I got absolutely this is the episode that should be launching today because of so many reasons. One being that so many of you have had so much downtime lately. You've been looking for ways to fill your time. So many of you listening are wanting to be entrepreneurs or have some sort of dream of having a spiritual business on the side or full time or something like that. And so I felt like this was a really important time to do this. And especially with so many jobs being lost and all of that, a lot of us are gaining new perspectives on how we can approach our lives in a way that is more joyful. Maybe the job that you lost, even though it was bringing in steady income, was not filling you with joy, was not lighting you up. And so this new world, this new COVID world is helping to bring insight and perspective into ourselves and into our lives to understand, okay, you know what? I needed this change. Even if I'm afraid that I might not be able to pay my bills this month, I still needed this change. And so now you're wanting to learn a new way to be able to pay your bills. But more so than that, be able to live a life that is yours. Be able to live a life that you're wanting to live. And I do want to acknowledge those of you who are listening right now who did actually really find joy in their jobs, who have lost their jobs in this time. I know it's really tremendously difficult. And so I just want to say that my condolences are with you and my heart is with you at this time in this struggle. So whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur listening to this, or if you are just someone looking for a good story, I'm hoping to give you one. So what's really interesting is that, as I think is the message that is needing to be delivered from this story for all of us, myself included, I need to rehear this too, is that whatever we are wanting to form in our lives is already there. It's already formed. It's already within reach. And the formation of Doorway to Self actually started years before I even imagined that I would be doing anything like what I am doing. For those of you who don't know my background, I got my undergraduate degree in creative writing and English. And then last minute, senior year, decided I wanted to be a preschool teacher. And my dream at that point in my life was actually to create a metaphysical preschool. And then working in preschools for, about a year and a half or so, really gave me insight to understand that I am much better with individuals, one-on-one or small groups, and I also have a hard time dealing with the bureaucratic systems in place in our education. So that's unfortunate, but I actually had a health crisis myself right after, when was it? Well, it was the year before I opened Doorway to Self, actually. So I can really relate to many of you who are in crisis right now, who have lost your jobs or who have not been able to go into work because you've had sickness. Because that's where I was in fall of 2015 in through the summer of 2016. It was a good probably 9 or 10 months that I had to quit my job because my physical health was so out of order. I had extreme fatigue. I had extreme symptoms in my guts, in my intestines. Things just were not lining up. Extreme and severe anxiety. I mean, the list goes on. My health was horrible. I could not be active for more than probably 2 hours a day, if that. Most of the day I was just laying around for like 9 months. And it was really bad. And there's still no rhyme or reason for it other than that, I think it was actually mainly energetic more so than it was physical. Or I should say it was an energetic manifestation in the physical. But regardless, my point is that time away from being with the kids, from being in that preschool setting, from being in that bureaucratic atmosphere, and really being with myself during that time, being alone. I lived alone. It was a really, really trying time. And in those moments of feeling like I had lost everything and feeling like I had zero purpose and zero path and nothing was, my life was nothing essentially. In those moments, it was big struggle. And what came out on the other side is all of this, is this podcast, is the company that I've built, is all of these incredible humans who have been lighting up at this information, is workshops and seminars and private one-on-one sessions and the Journey program and the Journey apprenticeship program and so many things on the other side of this turmoil and despair and discomfort, not the least of which is resulting in touching people's lives and changing the world in some small way or even a large way, and usually a large way through the butterfly effect. Because where you touch one person, they're going to touch another 6 or 10 or 50. And so I just want to give you guys that message that if you're feeling uncomfortable right now, if you're feeling like the entire world is against you and you are, not in the right place, I can assure you that you are in exactly the right place. If you're feeling turmoil right now, it means that this disease is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's making you wake up. And waking up is hard to do. To misquote the song, waking up is hard to do, okay? Gosh, it sucks. It really sucks. But it's so worth it on the other side. So what I was saying, I want to back up here for a moment and just talk about this for a second. This idea that what we're supposed to do is already there. And I really love, I didn't do this on purpose. I just realized this as I started recording this, that the day this is coming out, the day that you are likely listening to this right now, is the day after the new moon in Taurus, and also the 22nd of April 2020. And this day is so ridiculously powerful. I've written about it in the blog and also on social media posts. So if you don't know what's going on, you can be sure to check those out if you want some more information. But what I want to tell you is that this energy is extremely important in terms of locking into your purpose energetically. So even if you don't know what your purpose is consciously, unconsciously, a lot of work is being done right now for you to be able to integrate that information. If you do consciously know what your purpose is and you're working towards it, more information is going to be flooding into you, just guiding you for exactly where you need to go to continue on that path. And likewise too, if this is an unconscious thing, things are going to start lining up for you in your path. And that's part of what this integration is, this integration energy. The number 22 is the master builder. So this number is extremely tied into purpose. It's all about your master entrepreneurship. Whether you are going to be running your own business or not, this is about purpose. It's about following your path and finding what it is that you are purposefully here to do on this earth in this lifetime. Which then brings me to the idea of this new moon in Taurus, this earth energy. I feel like Taurus is the sign, Taurus is as close to the ground as you can possibly get, really. It is so sensual and so about feeling and really physically integrating things. And so that's what this is. That's what we're doing. We're physically integrating the energy that's coming from up on high. And not only that, but also Taurus is extremely concerned with security and safety. And when it comes to finances, definitely those things, security and safety and comfort and making sure that you're taken care of. And so when we are blending our entrepreneurship, this purpose energy with these energies of financial security, of feeling safe in what you're doing, feeling safe in your body, feeling safe in bringing things earth side. Holy cow, that's powerful. Whoa. And of course, we're in a 4-month, right? April is the 4th month of the year. We're in a 4-month. 4 is the number of balance, of building foundations, of bringing the elements in to set us up to be solid, to have backing. It's also extremely purposeful. Yeah, extremely purposeful. And then we're in this year 2020, which is a 4-year. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 is a 4, right? So we have that energy doubled. And this 22 energy doubled, 20, 20, 22, right? It's double, double, double. Toil and trouble. We're in the trouble right now. We're in the trouble right now. But it's okay, because it's going to bubble over. And what is left is going to be this incredible potion, so to speak, for humanity to be able to grow into this new earth paradigm that we are currently forming. 2020 is also about vision, right? So having this vision for this foundation, having this vision for purpose. And it's also got a lot of angelic backing to it too. So all of that stuff for y'all who are more on the spiritual side of things, wanting to know what's going on with this energy. And of course, the new moon is just such an internal time as well, being able to really connect internally with the core of yourself, the core of your energy, the core of your essence, and knowing where purpose sits within you. So all of that is going on. So I just think it's really cool that this episode is coming about today. This is what wanted to be recorded. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to yourselves, listening to your guts, and thank you to those of you who messaged me and inspired this as well. It's very cool the way that universe works and eggs itself on to keep moving forward. So as I mentioned now probably 3 times before sidetracking, I hope those of you who are listening like flow, because that's just how these podcasts go with me. I don't have a list in front of me. Everything's in my head and it all just kind of comes out and comes back around. And anyways. So what I was saying is that your purpose lives within you before you even know it. And looking backwards, there are so many determining factors that brought Doorway to Self into the physical and into existence that I wasn't even aware of. So for example, I do improv vocals and lyrics. It's just a thing that I love to do. So if there are a bunch of musicians around, maybe someone's, or even just one playing guitar or something like that, I just kind of layer on these channeled lyrics that kind of come through. And so the other day I was laughing to myself because I was listening. I've recorded a lot of these, and I was listening to one of them, and the lyrics were something to the effect of, and this was, mind you, like recorded probably, I don't know, 3 years or 4 years before I opened Doorway to Self. And the lyrics were, open the door to me. Open my eyes to what I cannot see in my head. These visions are not dead. Open your door and I'll open mine. There are answers you will find. I'm trying to remember it completely, but that you guys get the gist. These things are within us, right? So the fact that these lyrics were pouring out of me and I had completely forgotten about them until I listened to this recording a little while ago and was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This is crazy. So there's that. But I also want to give you guys this kind of insight into the actual formation of how did this happen? How did this come about? And I remember, I got the insights that I was supposed to open some sort of business where I could work with people, combining counseling techniques and psychic tools to help them understand their mental health and their well-being and etc. And I just didn't know quite what form that was going to take. I thought I would be working with children, which I have worked with a few kids, but mainly I do work with adults, which I've actually really been loving. And I've been going, oh yeah, okay, I was led here and I needed to do this work with children to understand more inner child work for myself and for my clients and etc. But regardless of all of that, the point is that I got the insight that, okay, it's time to open this company. I'm going to open it in September. So this was when I was saying this, when all of this was flooding through, it was probably right about February or March of 2016. Okay, so about 4 years ago now, which just blows my mind. But yeah, so about February or March of 2016, and I was doing all of this work to try and brainstorm names for this business. And brainstorming, and I can't seem to come upon anything that really is resonating. And I had an entire list on my phone in my notes of all of these possible names for my business, and everything was like, oh yeah, that might be good, but nothing was like, yes, this is it. This is it. And of course, being a numerology nerd, I was doing the numerology of everything, and I was not able to let go. I was not able to surrender that The universe was just going to give me a name and it was going to come to me, and it was going to be something that was numerologically significant in a way that matched up to exactly what I was wanting to convey and portray. And so that is one of the lessons I want to convey to you guys today, is this idea that, I had mentioned before, your purpose may be there subconsciously, and usually it is for a long time before it comes into the conscious. And we have to trust this process. We have to trust that this information is going to come to us as to what our purpose is. And we have to trust that this information is going to come to us as to exactly how to formulate it and what to do with it. This isn't the human rat race. This isn't a logic thing. This isn't about, how can I make this happen? It's about how can I allow this to happen and work alongside it. Now, I'm not saying, I want to be really clear in this, I'm not saying that this is just going to formulate out of thin air. It takes a ton of work. I have worked my butt off. I can't even tell you how hard I have worked my butt off to make this happen. But the point is that I'm working in accordance with spirit, with universe, with God, whatever you want to call it, and with my intuition and with the flow of energy. And a lot of that hard work comes from taking the time to clear everything else away so that I can listen within, so that I can receive the understandings and the messages of where I'm supposed to move forward. And I think that in our current societal upbringing, we are taught that if you're going to create a business, you have to work really hard for it. And what I mean by that is you have to consistently be doing something for it. Well, doing something for your business doesn't necessarily mean that it's productive, right? And actually, really for any business, doing that is counterproductive, because then you're just burning yourself out. You're tiring yourself out. You're not doing anybody any good. You're not doing any good service for yourself. And then you're also at the same time blocking yourself from being able to listen within. And this doesn't just go for spiritual businesses. As I said, this is for any business, right? You could be a dang accountant, and it doesn't matter, if you're crunching numbers just to crunch numbers, that's not productive at all. It really is not. Like, crunch numbers where you should be crunching numbers. Crunch numbers where it feels good to crunch numbers. And then also take time to rest and to breathe and to listen to yourself. And maybe yourself is saying, okay, I need to take a break right now. I'm fried right now. If I keep going, I might make a mistake, right? So listening to that. So that's my illustration of how this can literally be glued to any type of business, and whether you're working for yourself or someone else as well. I want to put that out there too. So back to this name thing, right? So I had this whole list of names going. I opened in September, which was my goal. I said, okay, I want to open in September. And I started looking at names in March. Do you guys know when my name came to me? It was August 29th. It was 2 days before September came. So I just want to illustrate that to you, that, and of course I was getting really anxious. I was getting so nervous, and I was beginning not to trust. I was beginning to think this name is never going to come. Nothing is going to feel right. Nothing does feel right. And then it came. And I would love to share the story with you of how it came, because I think it's going to inspire some of you to trust a little bit deeper. So I am clairvoyant, which for those of you who have not listened to the Psychic Abilities 101 episode, I highly encourage you go back and do that. But clairvoyance is psychic sight. So I was getting images. I was getting all of these images, and it started out actually with butterflies, and I was originally going to name this company, the Butterfly Garden, actually, back when I was thinking to work with kids. And then over time, it began to become understood to me that that was not what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to work with a blend of children and adults and everywhere in between. so, um, so, anyways, and as I said, that's kind of changed as well. I've been mainly working with adults. So, as that evolved, the butterfly images started going away, and I started then getting all of these images of gold. And these images of gold then started to form the object, and the object was a key. And I started to see all of these gold and brass and bronze skeleton keys. And I was like, okay. And so then I was starting to think like, okay, unlock yourself, or keys of the self, or something like that. And so you can see, I want to make this really clear here. How I'm illustrating this is that I was getting these images and then trying to translate them into words instead of just allowing for the name to come to me. I was trying to make it happen instead of trusting, okay, I'm getting these visions, I'm getting these images. I'm going to continue to sit with the energy of them and feel into the energy of them. And then the name will come. Okay? So this is lessons from Rachel to your brain, to your heart and your brain, so that you don't make the same mistake I did of driving yourself crazy, trying to come up with names consistently. I mean, I probably had a list of hundreds of names because I just didn't trust that it was going to come to me. And I was trying to make things happen as quickly as possible. And that's the next lesson I want to give you guys too, is that these things might not happen in the time frame that you're wanting them to. They might. Of course, I got my name, 2 days before September happened. But so they might happen exactly when you're wanting them to. But sometimes when you're wanting them to doesn't match up with when it's appropriate for them to happen. And so there, for instance, a couple of you know that a couple of years ago I was going to host a retreat, and about a month before the retreat happened, my grandfather had to go in for an extreme open heart surgery, and I'm one of his caretakers, and so I had to actually call off the retreat. And afterwards, I came to understand that it wasn't time yet. I was trying to force it. It wasn't ready. And I was trying to make it happen because I was told by social media and by following all of these other spiritual entrepreneurs and by guesting at retreats, doing guest workshops and facilitation and stuff. I was being fed this message that in order to be a successful business in my field, I needed to host a retreat. And the fact of the matter is, I was not ready to do that. And people were not ready for that either. It wasn't time. And so I have been trusting that and listening to that, which is why there has not yet been a retreat with Doorway to Self, because I've been listening. And so I want to encourage you as well to do the same thing. If you are in this space of feeling pressure, and especially right now, I've been hearing this from a lot of people of, oh my gosh, coronavirus, now I have all of this time, which is ironically how I started this episode. I have all of this time to do all of these things, and so I should be doing them. Even though my body is telling me to rest, or even though universe is telling me it's not time to work on this right now, or not time to put this out right now, things like that, we're ignoring the flow of things, which is the exact opposite of what we should be doing right now. We're not being asked to fill time. We're being asked to listen to where time wants to be filled in. We're being asked to listen to where time is on our side in terms of creation, in terms of getting our ledgers in a row, in terms of, all of those types of things. This is flow. This is what flow looks like and feels like. And it's probably very uncomfortable for a lot of people because, and maybe even you listening to it, because it's not something that our society is used to, and it's not something we're taught, and it's not a way of living we're taught to live. So I just wanted to give you that little tidbit as well. So back to the names. So how did Doorway to Self happen? So the last image that I started getting was of almost what the cover page on my website is. It's very close, although a zoomed out version of that, and actually very close to what the podcast cover art is as well. This image of, although you couldn't see the person, it was this image of a shadow opening a doorway, and everything around them is completely dark. All you see is this silhouette of a shadow opening the doorway, and there's just this crack of gold light that's coming through. And so that was the image that I kept getting. And then I started seeing the door by itself and nobody there, but just this door that was there, and there was this golden light coming in through the threshold. And it was just cracked slightly open, and I was getting this image so deeply and so vividly. And over a little bit of time, I was taken backwards. I was taken backwards in time to this moment, my freshman year of college. And so here we go again, coming back around to this idea that this lives within us. Our purpose, the formations of our purpose, the foundations of our purpose live within us before they even are known to us consciously. Okay? So I'm in a twin flame dynamic. For those of you who don't know what that is, there is probably way too much information on Google about it. So you can go ahead and look that up. It'll be a while before I do an episode on that. But I will eventually do an episode about that. I feel like every episode I've recorded, I've been like, and I'm going to do an episode on this and an episode on this. So I guess that just goes to show I'm not running out of material here, guys. You will have something to listen to. Anyways, the point is that to give you just a little bit of a tidbit of what this is, and I have answered this question on past Q&As as well, so if you're wanting a little bit more information from my mouth personally, you can check that out on the Doorway to Self YouTube channel. But anyways, regardless, so twin flames, basically what they do is they mirror each other. Not everybody has a twin flame, and when there is a twin flame dynamic, it is this deep knowing of yourself that you find by being around the other person, essentially. It's really bizarre. It's a very complicated relationship dynamic. But basically, they trigger you to see yourself. And first, they trigger you to see your highest self. First, they trigger you to see all of your potential and your beautiful, good, golden love. And then they trigger you to see all the things that you don't want to see about yourself, all of your shadows. So I met my twin my freshman year of college. And of course, we know our twins our whole lives if we're in this dynamic. But I met him in the physical in college in my freshman year. And I will never forget that he shared with me, and I'm not going to go deep into detail about this because I feel like it's personal for him. But he shared with me this story about recurring dream that he used to have. And maybe it wasn't recurring. I don't remember. It was so long ago. But this dream that he had about, being in front of a door, and he knew that the door was for him. and he knew he was supposed to open it, and that what was on the other side was going to be incredible, and that it was something that he needed for himself. But his fear was paralyzing him from being able to open the door. And he was telling me that he's gone back to the store in meditations, and, mind you, it's been 8 years, so he very well may have opened his door by this point, and I truly hope he has. But, 8 years ago, this was the story. So he was just paralyzed from being able to open this door. And I never was able to get that image out of my mind. Him saying that, I was able to picture the entire thing of him going to open this door. And of course, when we stopped being in contact physically, which, was a decision that was in both of our best interests, truly, because it's where we grew, is, this idea that, okay, if we're mirroring each other, then that means that there is some part of me that's not wanting to fully experience myself, even if it is what he's been reflecting of this incredible higher self. If I'm seeing that in him, then it exists in me. And so if that fear exists in him, then it also exists in me. And so that's when I really started diving deep into the work of uncovering my shadows, of really understanding, where my blind spots were and where my deficits were, but also understanding where my love for myself was, and where I could unconditionally love myself, and where I could connect to universe and spirit from my power, from my being. And so being in that place and opening the door to myself, and I did actually do a couple of guided visualizations and such. A lot of the stuff you find on YouTube, you are opening a door and walking through it. And so I did several of those, and every single time, I would see my door, and I would go up and I would open my door, and I would feel this freedom of knowing that even if he couldn't do that at that point in his life, I knew I could do that for myself. And I knew that in some way, shape, or form, that was also helping to encourage him. And so I kept getting this image, fast forward to August of 2016. I kept getting this image of that same doorway. That same doorway, the one I saw for myself, the one I saw for him. They were a little bit varied, but not completely varied. And I kept getting this image and getting this image, and I was coming up with all of these things still, right? Trying to force it. And finally, one day, I said, I have to paint this door. I have to paint it. I'm not a painter. I'm not an artist. Okay? I want to make that very clear. I had probably not painted since elementary school at that point. I don't know. But I said, okay, I have to paint this. And so I was fortunate in that I was actually at my parents' house, and my dad is an artist. He is a painter. And so I asked if I could go use some of his supplies, and I ran into the room with the supplies, and I went for it. And I got just the skeleton of the door and the frame and the little bit of light coming in, and I didn't finish the painting. It was probably a third of the way done. Although, fun fact, I did actually go back and finish it later, and I actually wound up hanging it up in my office space when I was at the Wellness Collective. So if you guys ever saw me, if you ever were a client of mine when I was in that space, you saw that painting. And as I was painting it, as I was connecting with this energy of this image, it flooded into me, doorway to self. So I ran into the house or back into the room where my laptop was, and I quickly did the domain search, because that was also a huge part of my block. I was coming up with these names that I was like, ooh, yeah, that's the name. And then I would search for it, and it was already somebody's name. If you've never if you've never run a business before, you want to make sure that your domain name for your website, so www.xyz.com, matches your business name. And the unfortunate thing is that many domain names are already taken. So like unlockyourself.com, I think, was one that was already picked up. And I was like, shoot, that was the one I wanted. But the other unfortunate thing too is that there are people who are trying to make money on this idea as well. And so there are certain businesses that actually track to see where people are searching for domain names to purchase. So actually, now that I'm recalling this story, I'm remembering that unlockyourself.com was actually something that I was highly considering doing, and no one had purchased the domain name yet. And I had decided to sit on it and see if it felt right and all of this stuff. And the longer I sat on it, which it wasn't that long, I think it was maybe a day. And when I went back to purchase it again, some domain hog had already gone in and noticed I had searched it, and they had picked it up and bought it, and we're selling it for like $1,000, and I didn't have that kind of money. So I didn't take it. And the truth is that, if you're aware of the metaphysics of money, if that really was supposed to be my name, I would have bought it, no problem. Even if I didn't have the money, I would have, it would have happened. There would have been some way, some loophole that would have allowed me to buy it. But anyways, regardless, the point is that there are people out there, and I'm mainly saying this for prospective entrepreneurs here. If you want a domain name, do not search it, because they will find it and they will jack the price up on you. So I'm just letting you know. It was just so frustrating. Every single time it was taken. And so I ran in, I got my laptop as quickly as I could, because I finally had this feeling of this is it. And sure enough, I went ahead and I searched the domain name, and it didn't exist. And on the spot, I purchased it. On the spot. Didn't even do the numerology of it. Didn't even care about the numerology of it. I just knew it was it. Now, here's where this blows my mind, and it still blows my mind, okay? The numerology of Doorway to Self directly parallels the numerology of my name, okay? I'm going to get personal with you guys here and literally spell out my numerological chart for you, because it is just a little bit too uncanny. Rachel is 11. Doorway is 11. 2 is an 8. Leah is an 8. Gerson is a 33, which if you want, you can reduce it to 6. And Self is a 6. Doorway to Self in total is a 7. And Rachel Leah Gerson in total is a 7. I can't make this up. I'm not making this up. If you want to check, if you're a numerologist or you dabble in it and you want to check the numbers, go for it, because I've checked it probably 5 times. I've been in so much disbelief. And not only did all of the numbers match my name perfectly, as I just laid out for you, but they also matched exactly what I was wanting for my business. Doorway is an 11, right? And 11, of course, is the master doorway. 2 is an 8, T-O, meaning, is an 8. An 8 is all about grounding. It's all about bringing the spiritual into the physical. It's all about, really being embodied and really understanding the physical aspects of life. It's also money flow. And then 6 is love. It's the number of love and self-love and love of others and home and hearth and creating this safe space. And then when you add them all together, you get 7, which is the number of the researcher of the human condition, which is exactly what we're doing. This is the mental health revolution. That's a 7. So if the other stuff didn't boggle my mind already, the significance of the numbers themselves still has me floored. So anyways, you don't have to do all of this extra work. You don't have to make things happen. You can trust it will come to you. So for those of you who are sitting at home right now saying, oh gosh, I don't know what to do with myself. I really want, I hated my job and I'm so I'm anxious that I don't have the income right now, but I'm so happy that I'm not there anymore. And holy cow, this gives me the time to work on what I actually want to work on and what I've been wanting to do and craving to do for so long. And oh my gosh, I'd better get this done as quickly as possible before this isolation thing is done, because this is the only time I'm going to have to do this. That is not true. This is the beginning of the time that you're going to have to do this. And by committing to it, even if what you do during this time is just rest and just percolate and just allow your mind to explore the possibilities, allow your heart to feel into the energy of your purpose, of what you're needing to do, of what you're needing to put out there into the world, even if it's just doing that, you're already co-creating with universe. And universe has got your back. It's going to look out for you. It's going to continue to put things into place where you can find them easily to make this stuff happen, so that you're not forcing it to happen just to do something, or just to feel like you're doing something, or to ease your anxiety. Because I feel like that's a huge portion of it, right? Oh, if I'm not doing something, then I'm anxious that I'm not doing something. Well, what kind of energy is that then feeding into it? That's energy of lack, energy of fear, energy of obligation, of burnout. And do you really want to be putting that into your business? No, you don't. You want to be putting in your heart and soul. You want to be putting in the feelings of what you're wanting to create, and the feelings of what you want to feel by creating it. And the more that you connect with those feelings, the more is going to come about. I can guarantee you. So, I'm going to end our episode there. I really hope that this was helpful to you guys. I know this is really different than the last several episodes that have been recorded, but this is what wanted to come through, and I am I am living my word here. Everything that I said in this podcast is literally this episode. Okay. I listened and I recorded, and so I hope that this is exactly what you needed to hear, and that it is helping you to transform the way that you are approaching this coronavirus time, and also your exploration of self and your exploration of purpose. And I wish you the best of luck on whatever it is that you, dear, dear soul, are here to do. That said, I also want to thank all of you who were at the vocal sound healing to align with personal purpose last night on Facebook or Instagram Live. It was so magical. I am still floored. Not that it was that long ago, but seriously, you guys are so amazing, and I just want to thank you all for your support, for your love, for showing up for yourselves. It's just so incredible. And also, I want to let you know that, of course, the recording of that is available on Facebook. I'll be putting it on YouTube later today. And also, there is an offering now as well for a recorded vocal sound healing MP3. It's got a ton of different vocals on it, different layers, different harmonies. It's just blowing my mind how incredible this thing is, how it came out channeled. And that one is more specifically for helping you through the awakening experience. And of course, once you have your awakening, you're always on the awakening journey. So this is truly for any part of your journey that you're on, whether it's the very beginning of your awakening, you haven't even awakened yet, or you're, somewhere in the middle or somewhere near the end. Of course, the end being leaving this planet, but it has to happen to all of us at some point. So no matter where you are in your journey, this is for you. And you can find it on doorwaytoself.com/services. It's the one at the very top of the page, and you can just download it. And if you are listening to this podcast, you can get it for $11 instead of $22 if you put in the code ANGEL22. So there you have that to help you on this part of your journey, to help you reclaim yourself and your purpose, to get out of your own way, out of your own confusion, and just to get more clear and feel less alone. So I hope that you find that helpful. And I'm sending you so much love, so much love to be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're needing to do at this time. Ooh. Deep breaths. You've got this. I know you've got this. You know you've got this deep down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close our episode out there. If you want to learn more about the new moon and the 22nd and all of the energy that happened yesterday, of course, go to doorwaytoself.com/blog. You can also sign up for the newsletter from there. And I hope to see you on social media as well. At Doorway to Self on Facebook and YouTube as well, but not at Doorway to Self, just Doorway to Self. At Doorway to Self on Facebook and Instagram, and at rachel.leah.gerson to follow my personal journey on Instagram as well. There are still some spaces open for May 2nd for the Doorway to Mental Health Retreat. I would absolutely love to have you there. And it is at a discounted rate right now since I had to move it online. So if you want to come for one workshop or several workshops or the full day, I would absolutely love to have you there. And I hope to see your face on Zoom in that capacity. And the next Q&A is on May 17th at 4 p.m. EST. So there you go. You've got all the information you need at this point in time. And trust your heart, move forward where you need to move, and know that you are deeply, deeply loved. Thank you so much for tuning into the Doorway to Self podcast, for helping to spread psychic education, and for being a part of the mental health revolution. I hope you have received exactly what you needed today for your personal growth, understanding, and healing. For more information on upcoming workshops, retreats, and online events, please go to doorwaytoself.com. Thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your day.